Hello, this is Dr. Paul Cottrell, and I'm going to be going over Mpox, some of the updates from the different news organizations, and I'm also going to go over a little bit of the mechanism, a little bit more detail than I said yesterday. I'm recording this on August 16th, so let's start with a little bit more of the details, just a reminder. So there's with Mpox, again, pox viruses are more complicated. They have a very large genome. They have many different proteins, 190 plus proteins. So they're not as understood as some other viruses. We know a lot more about HIV or some of the other smaller viruses, but when you have over 100,000 bases for the genome size and you have 190 plus different proteins, it's a complicated virus. All right. So with that said, what is known with pox viruses and Mpox particularly is it's shutting down of the innate immune system and the adaptive immune system. All right. So the innate immune system is shut down by E3. E3 is a protein, and it inhibits the interferon to prevent other downstream cascades for the innate immune system. In addition to the innate immune system shutdown, it inhibits several pathways. One pathway is PKR. I'll go in more detail of what these are. PKR. Another one is is it OAS? Yeah, OAS. RIG1 and MDA5. Now let's go a little bit deeper into what they do. Okay, so this E3 protein not only does the E3L gene inhibit interferon, but the E3 protein will inhibit PKR. Now, PKR is a protein kinase, all right, all right. And what that basically does is a protein kinase is a protein that shifts a phosphate group from one molecule to a different molecule. So it's removing a phosphate group and putting on another substrate. This is important because it activates downstream an antiviral capability. So if you block the protein kinase R, PKR, then what you're doing is you're inhibiting the antiviral capability of the cell. If PKR is active and it does its thing downstream, it will have the cell go into apoptosis. If you inhibit this, the cell has a problem going into apoptosis to kill off the infected cell. So Mpox has developed through natural selection and evolution that it has the capability through the E3 protein to inhibit PKR's pathway to go into apoptosis. The next thing is the MDA5. Now, MDA5 is melanoma differentiation association protein 5, okay? So what that basically means is that this is another pathway for the innate immune system to detect some sort of virus, all right? And how it detects it is that this protein, this MDA5 protein, detects viral code, all right, double-stranded RNA. So Mpox is a double-stranded DNA virus, but for it to code, it has to take that DNA and make it into RNA. And so there's a means of detecting viruses by looking for this double-stranded RNA code. So the E3 protein inhibits the MDA5. So it's not detecting viral DNA, viral RNA, and it's inhibiting PKR, so it's not going to apoptosis. And it's also inhibiting RIG1. Now, RIG1 is a pattern recognition receptor for viruses. All right. Well, if you're inhibiting that, you're not recognizing the pattern in the cell for our innate immune system that the cell has been infected by a virus. And RIG1 stands for retinoic acid inducible gene 1. Okay, so just RIG1. Then OAS. Now, what OAS stands for is 2' 5' oligo adenylate synthase. And what that does is it helps to degrade viral DNA or viral RNA. All right, so it detects, okay, there's a virus, and it activates enzymes to break up the messenger RNA of the virus, because it's taking this DNA and it's making messenger RNA, and through that process, OAS is activated normally. All right, and then it'll say, hey, I've been infected by a virus and I got to break up its messenger RNA so it's not making its proteins. Well, if you inhibit OAS, you aren't activating the enzymes to break up the messenger RNA from the virus. So it's really important to realize that the Mpox has a lot of capability because it can shut down the innate immune system. Now let's go to the non-innate immune system, the more adaptive side of this. As I said yesterday, cells, when they're infected, will try to recruit CD4 positives and CD8 positive cells, and that will do a whole bunch of stuff for the immune system. The CD8s will try to kill the cell. The CD4s will try to elicit an antibody response with the B cells. But when that infected cell is cognated with a CD4 positive or CD8 positive cell, it normally is activating a process, and cytokines are released, inflammatory response happens, and a bunch of stuff downstream starts to happen for the immune system. But if you prevent that activation, then what you're basically doing is you're localizing an immune suppressant activity. So Mpox has an immune suppressant local activity. So it flew underneath the radar for the innate immune system by shutting down PKR, shutting down interferon, shutting down RIG1, shutting down OAS, shutting down MDA5, and it shuts down the activation of CD4 positive and CD8 positive cells. So now they can't come in and kill the cell. When you can localize the inactivation of CD4 positives and CD8 positives, then what happens is that there's a buildup of a reservoir of virus in the tissue that the body doesn't that it doesn't know it's there. So it's hiding. So it's allowed to fly underneath the surveillance of the immune system and build a reservoir of virus, and therefore you start building up the pox. Now it's through now mass infection, right? That now it's in more tissues. It's covering the body, and eventually what happens is that the immune system kicks in, and if the person survives, then they're building up antibodies against the virus. But the reason why it can spread on the body of the infected individual is because of the shutting down of the innate immune system and this inactivation of locally inactivation of CD4, CD8s, up to the point where it spreads so much, there's leakage in the tissue, in the cells, and eventually what happens is the immune system kicks in. So that's what Mpox is doing. That's how poxes work. Pox viruses work. All right, so just keep that in mind. It's E3, shut down the innate immune system, is shutting down RIG1, MD85, OAS, and PKR. And the pox viruses and Mpox has the capability of inactivating CD4 positive and CD8s. Now, take this one step further. What if the population already has a problem with their immune system, especially with their CD4s? And poxes are easy to catch now. So AIDS-like syndrome from the 2020 crisis can exacerbate pox infections. All right. I guarantee you, no one that you're listening to on YouTube, Brighteon, Bitchute, Rumble, wherever, has explained it in such clear terms as I just did. Nobody. Even if they've been a virologist for years, decades, an MD for decades, a practicing physician for decades, no one has explained it in such clear terms as I just did, and how it dovetails into the crisis that we just went through. This is why I was saying AIDS-like syndrome is going to cause an exacerbation of other opportunistic infections, other pathogens that will take hold because we have an immune system that's trashed. All right, so you really need to pay attention to me because I know what I'm talking about. So with that said, I want to play some of the videos in the news. There's been some new developments that have transpired with certain vaccine makers, and also what happened in Sweden. But before we do that, please make sure you subscribe to all my channels. I have 4 channels on YouTube. I have Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. Please make sure that you click the bell and get notified. Follow me on X and on GETTR so you get notification that I have posted something. There's censorship. There's going to be more censorship, especially if this situation gets worse. Because people like me that are going to tell you how it is, mainstream social platforms are not going. They're not going to like that message. They're going to be told to suppress it, just like what happened in 2020. So I always have to fly underneath the radar. So I need your help. I need you to help by sharing the links, subscribing, following me on these different social media platforms. So somehow, some way, you can get my information. In addition, you can sign up and sign up on my website to share your email so I can reach you that way if things get crazy and there's super censorship, which is possible, especially if we have a kinetic event between Russia and the United States, or United States and Iran, or the United States and China, which is highly probable. So you really need to pay attention. You really need to start getting prepared. All right? Something bad is coming. It's pathological, it's war, and it's economic. All right. With that, please go to my store, follow the protocol, pay attention to what I'm saying. All right. Things that you should be getting to boost up your immune system. This is really important. Boost up your immune system. What did I say? If you already have a problem with your CD4s, if you don't have a boosted immune system, you don't stand a chance for stuff that's coming. All right. The cold season is going to get worse, not better. It's going to get worse. So pay attention. All right. If you don't follow my advice, it's your own damn fault. So go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, boost up your immune system, neutralize pathogens. How? Well, it's a 3-pillar process. You neutralize pathogens, you bring down ROS, and you bring down inflammation. All right. How do you neutralize pathogens? Well, you take structural nanosilver products like the liquid, Max 35, Max 14, or I have a structural nanosilver liquid that's a 30 ppm, parts per million. You take a teaspoon a day, you swish it in your mouth, you gargle with it, you swallow it. All right, that's maintaining a mucosal barrier in your oral cavity, and it's also improving your oral hygiene and neutralizing pathogens. If you purchase the liquid, please make sure that you purchase the applicator set. It's easy to carry around in your bag. It has a spritzer, it has a dropper, and a nasal spray. Really important, especially when the cold season's coming. Structural nanosilver gels. I have 2 types. I have this in the tube, and I also have it in the dispenser. Okay, you use them the same way. You put it on your hands, it stays active for 5 hours. You can put it around your mouth, around your nose, around your ears, around your eyes. You can lightly coat your nostrils, all right? Use this every day. It'll neutralize pathogens. It's way better than Perel. Perel, you can't put Perel around your, around your eyes, around your ears, around your nose, and lightly coat your nostrils or your mouth. Why? Because Perel is toxic, and it does damage to your skin. Structural nanosilver gels actually improve your skin. It heals your skin, and it neutralizes pathogens. So please go to the store and use this structural nanosilver gel. Neutralize the pathogens, but it's, like I said, it's dual purpose. So you can put it on your skin, and it'll improve the clearness of the skin, right? And it'll make it tighter. So if you use this daily on your face, you'll notice that your face will tighten up. The best way for the skincare, if you're going to do it skincare, make sure you put it on at night, and then in the morning exfoliate for just overall skincare. For guys, when you're shaving, after you shave, put the gel on your face. It'll cool it. It will reduce that irritation. Females, you're shaving your legs or whatever, your body, make sure you put the gel on your body after you shave. It will help to heal and prevent razor burn. So this is a great product. It's very high quality, and it has dual purpose: neutralize pathogens and take care of your skin. All right. It's really important for you to get a couple bags of this for your household. Be prepared for the cold season and other things that are popping up. All right. I have it in drops. I have it in blueberry right now, and I have it in elderberry zinc. Lozenges they're in a 21 count. The drops are in a 100 count. Get a couple bags for your household. Be ready. All right. The moment you feel an irritation in your throat, you should be taking drops and lozenges. You want to neutralize that pathogen and maintain that mucosal barrier to prevent further infection. People need to realize, you catch it early, the better off you are. It's just like cancer. The earlier you do your screenings and the early that you catch cancer, the better you are. Same thing. The faster you start to mitigate a pathogen, the better off you are to try to neutralize it. Because once the infection starts to take hold, even if it's benign and you're sick for only 5-7 days, your body has to remodel and heal for weeks. If it's a bad infection, a lung infection, it could be months. So, and as your body's healing and it's going through all that pro-inflammatory response, you're aging faster. Your immune system is down. All right. Now, do you understand that chronic illness, chronic infection, and bad lifestyle and not paying attention to your daily habits can actually cause increased aging and increased infections because your immune system is down. All right. Pay attention to what I'm saying because I know what I'm talking about. Structural nanosilver soaps. I have a variety of them on my store. They neutralize pathogens. It's a very high quality soap, way better than, you know, that crap that you buy from CVS or Walgreens or wherever. You know, body wash and all that stuff. This is a very high quality soap. Go to the store, get a couple bars of this for your household. They'll be happy that you did. So with that said, I'm going to go over some of the other products and other things for the protocol, but let's start going down and taking a look at some of these videos. But it's really important for you to pay attention to what I'm saying. I know what I'm talking about. I take these products, I use them every day, and what's important is that you want to slow down the aging process and boost up your immune system. I've been saying this for 4 years. If you haven't been doing it, it's your own damn fault.
You will remember, of course, yesterday. Well, I've got some breaking news to bring you from Sweden now. They're saying that they have confirmed their first case of Mpox. You will remember, of course, yesterday that the World Health Organization declared Mpox, the outbreak in parts of Africa, a public health emergency of international concern. Well, we're just hearing from Sweden that there is now the first case outside Africa has been recorded in Sweden. The Health and Social Affairs Minister, Jakob Forssmed, has told a news conference we now have we have now also during the afternoon had confirmation that we have one case in Sweden of the more grave type of Mpox, the one called Clade 1. So this highly contagious disease, which is formerly known as monkeypox, now Mpox, has killed at least 450 people during an initial outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's now spread across parts of Central and East Africa. Scientists are concerned about how fast this new variant of the disease is spreading and its high fatality rate. And as we're just hearing in the last few minutes, Sweden is now saying that it's got its first case of Mpox outside of Africa. There's plenty more on this on the BBC website, so do check it out. Just go to bbc.com/news. You're watching BBC News with me, Lucy.
All right. Well, it's spreading. All right. This is wonderful. Listen to this. Oh, wait, before we do that. Yeah.
We don't even know it's king.
I know that we can get you up to speed, but can we get this thing to slow down once it gets there?
You're not going to stop anything but the breaks that you got.
That's it.
Outbreak of a new strain of the Mpox virus in Africa. Sweden has become the first country to register a case outside the continent. The virus, which was formerly known as monkeypox, can spread through close contact. It causes flu-like symptoms and lesions on the body and can be deadly. This latest surge is believed to have started in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Mpox is surging across Africa. And this is ground zero. Thousands of cases have been reported in the Democratic Republic of Congo as a new outbreak grips the country. It's already claimed at least 450 lives, most of them children, and it's showing no sign of slowing down.
We're worried. We don't feel that the government is mobilizing or that it's concerned about the best way to try and control this epidemic, which is threatening the Congolese population.
Formerly known as monkeypox, Mpox spreads through close contact, causing flu-like symptoms and painful pus-filled lesions. But this new strain is proving more infectious and even more deadly. And experts fear the growing outbreak in Africa could just be the tip of the iceberg.
This is not just an African issue. Mpox is a global threat, a menace that knows no boundaries, no race, no creed. It is a virus that exploits our vulnerabilities, preying on our weakest point. And it is in this moment of vulnerability that we must find our greatest strength and demonstrate that we are all learning from the COVID lesson and we are playing solidarity.
The World Health Organization last declared Mpox an international health emergency in 2022, with cases in more than 70 countries. That was largely shut down with the help of vaccines and treatments in rich countries. But very few of those are available in Africa, and global health officials hope
the medical community isn't paying attention to the weakening of the immune system in the aftershock of 2020. Your average doctor is an idiot. So you really need to pay attention to me, and you really need to get educated and be informed and be proactive of your health, because your doctor isn't going to do it for you.
New emergency declaration will kickstart an international effort to contain the disease.
Well, just a short while ago, I spoke to Professor Salim Abdul Karim, an epidemiologist who chairs Africa's CDC Emergency Consultative Group, and I asked him how this Mpox outbreak is different from the one we just heard about in 2022.
Yes, we are seeing quite a different situation right now. So if you just look at the number of cases of Mpox that we have now, it's about 3 times higher than the number we had in 2022 when the World Health Organization declared a public health emergency of international concern for Mpox at that time. So we are seeing many more cases at this time, but it's not just that we are seeing many more cases. The number of cases is increasing each week. So we are seeing an upswing in the number of new cases. And our concern, thirdly, is that not only are we seeing a lot of cases and the cases are rising, but that the case fatality rate, the proportion of patients.
And why did we see a couple of years ago the mycoplasma issue? And it was in kids, and RSV in kids, because the CD4s are fucked up. And they need to start paying attention. It's not about CD4 count. It's about active CD4s, working CD4s. The 2020 crisis caused a disruption in the immune system. And it's really important for kids to have an active immune system. That's the reason why they have a big thymus and producing lots of antibodies and T cells and B cells. Why? Because they're young and they're in an environment they've never been around before, and they're trying to prime their immune system to the point where when they get to an adult that, you know, that they have some sort of exposure and some sort of memory cells. This is how the body has adapted through time. That you live in an environment, when you're young, you get exposed to certain antigens and certain pathogens, and you build up an immune system, and that typically would carry you through the rest of your life. The problem is that we stop localization and we went into globalization, and we start moving around after our thymus gets smaller. And now we have to rely on stupid things like inoculations. Globalization has caused the problem. Now, if you really understand what I just said, you will fully appreciate why I'm upset about this.
Dying is unacceptably high. At this point, it's running in the DRC and in broader Africa at about 3%. And that's simply, you know, a level that we have not seen previously. And then finally, the fourth issue we looked at, the criteria we looked at, was whether it is spreading beyond the borders of the DRC. And that's certainly the case. In the last few weeks, 3 countries that previously hadn't reported Mpox are now reporting cases of Mpox. So it has gone beyond the borders of the DRC. So we got a lot of cases, far more than we've had before in 2022.
Yeah.
We're seeing an upswing in the number of cases. We're seeing a higher than expected death rate, and it's spreading beyond the borders of the DRC. All of that constituted enough grounds to declare a public health emergency.
And we just found out about a case in Sweden. Are we looking at the prospect of a new pandemic here?
I think once we start seeing it spreading beyond the boundaries of the DRC, there's nothing stopping it from spreading everywhere. And that's going to be an issue for us because there's so much of travel, there's so much of mixing, and Mpox can also...
Why do we have to do so much traveling? Really? Why? Why? And then we just had a major potential spreading event for the Olympics. It's not even cost effective to have an Olympics anymore. Most countries have financial problems after they have their Olympics. Some of them have financial problems while they're preparing for the Olympics. The Olympics is nothing now than a platform to push wokeism and, you know, some sort of satanic motifs. The human body isn't designed for hyper globalization. That's what he should have said. See what I mean? You have doctors that they're siloed and they can't think in system engineering methodology, and they screw everything up. And by the way, people like him and others, oh, it's spreading now. We're going to have vaccine passports, and we're going to have to curtail people's civil liberties. What we need to do is realize, you know what? Globalization has been a harm to our biology and our ability to maintain economic capability. When you outsource your manufacturing, you really think you're a strong country? A country is predicated on its manufacturing prowess. Everything's so hunky-dory in globalization.
In a way that's very mild, and so people will not recognize that they have this illness, and that's a big issue as well. Right now, it looks like the clade 1b version of the virus that's spreading in the DRC spreads quite readily through sexual transmission. And so, that opens up pretty much, any part of the world in terms of risk.
Oh, so, okay, doctor. We have the Olympics promoting this satanic, strange LGBTQ thing going on, the whole trans movement, and this whole, gender dysphoria. Don't you think some of those behaviors within those subcultures have the propensity to be spreading Mpox? Here again, society can be cursed or blessed. In this case, we're starting to see a curse that's coming around the bend.
Spreading quite rapidly among children, and it's proving to be quite deadly for them. Why is that?
So in the past, populations were somewhat protected because the elderly people, the adults had been vaccinated against smallpox. And so that provides some measure of protection. But now we have a growing susceptible population that have not been vaccinated, and that is especially amongst the children. So if we look at
almost all major outbreaks, major pandemics, almost all of them, if not all of them, is because one group of people decide to move into a region that they're not used to. And that goes all the way back to Homo sapien and Neanderthal. Fact.
Particular clade 1b, that's the particular variant of this virus that's spreading in the DRC, and it's only at this point in the DRC. As it's spreading to neighbors, we're seeing sexual transmission, and then from adults, we're seeing transmission to children. In fact, around half the number of cases in the DRC are in children, and that's quite a big concern.
Would you say it was a mistake?
He didn't even answer the question. All he did was state the facts. State that this is what's happening. You know what the problem is? This is the right here is the issue that I'm talking about with doctors. That they can't get to the root cause. I'm telling you, it's the CD4s. It's the CD4s. It's the CD4s. I've been saying this for 4 fucking years.
No, I mean, yeah, who would have predicted that we would be in this kind of situation? I think the decision was the right decision at the time. What we need now is we need, a highly effective Mpox vaccine that we can, provide, in the entire community. We don't have that. The vaccine that's available, we don't even know it's
What's going to happen when you do that is that the infections are going to start to go down, and everyone's going to say, "Oh, it's working," but you're going to start to realize that you're compounding on a weakening of the immune system. And we're going to have another problem.
Is very expensive and doesn't lend itself to mass immunization. So we use the vaccines very judiciously to those only at high risk. So right now, we don't really have the kinds of tools in terms of vaccines. So we've got to go back to.
This guy's aggravating me. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Link is in the description of this video and all my videos. Get the clarity factor. You know why? Because you need to get the brain fog out of your head so you can concentrate on this bullshit. All right, so really, take the clarity factor. It'll help to get those neurons firing. It'll help for you to concentrate. It'll help you to improve that neuroplasticity. It's a great way to help to maintain your mental clarity and your memory, your neural health. You take it every day with some of the other things that I've been saying, and you're going to actually slow down the aging process. So please go to the store and get the clarity factor. This is way better than anything that Alex Jones sells. All right, Alex Jones doesn't even know how the stuff that he sells even works. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the clarity factor. You stack it with some of the other things like C60 that I sell in my store, and you're going to start to notice that you're going to have an improvement. The reason why you need ATP to shoot off those neurotransmitters and healthy mitochondria. It's a win-win for all your cells in your body. So please go to the store and get the clarity factor. In addition, if you haven't gotten the message, it's about the immune system. You need to boost up your immune system. So go to my store and get the lignans. It's a powder. You mix it with your food or with water. Take it every day. It'll boost up your immune system. In addition, it helps with hormonal health for males and females. People need to realize, and I still need to find time to do the video. Our endocrine systems are disrupted by our environment and the foods that we eat. So it's really important to filter your water. I use a 5 filtration system. It's called Zero Water. You need to stop eating processed foods. Stop eating at restaurants because restaurants are typically bad quality food anyways. And, upgrade your food supply, all right? So by doing that, you're reducing the chances of the PFAS, these forever chemicals, right? But there's ways to detoxify that stuff out over time. So you need to stop getting the stuff in your body, but In addition, you need to also help to rejuvenate your immune system and your endocrine system and your exocrine system. And you do that by taking some of the products that I have in my store. So get the lignans, boost up your immune system, and improve your hormonal health. Males and females, it's very important. Trust me. Trust me. Vitamin C helps with your skin and also helps with your immune system. Take a double dose when you're not feeling well during the cold season. Take it with water. Ashwagandha root helps to control your blood glucose levels. You know, in America, they eat too much. They have too much glucose in their blood. That's part of the reason why they're chronically inflamed and they have heart disease. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Get the ashwagandha root, help to control your blood glucose levels and reduce that cardiovascular inflammation. You couple that, the best way to take it is you couple it with turmeric. And turmeric is an antioxidant, but also brings down pro-inflammatory cytokines, brings down that inflammation. People that are chronically inflamed, they have a lower immune system and disease progresses and you age faster. So you want to bring down that inflammation. If you work out, take the turmeric before you work out and you'll recover quicker. Take my advice or don't take my advice. It's up to you. But the stuff works. Please go to my store and get the probiotic. All right. You need to maintain a good gut biome so you can have proper absorption of nutrients and good metabolism. A good gut biome improves mental clarity and mental mood. In addition, it helps to support your liver. Go to the store and get this probiotic. This is in a veggie cap form. I also have one in a powdered form that I take every day. It's really important to take these probiotics. When you have a good gut biome and you stop eating the crappy food and you filter your water and you take these supplements that I'm talking about, you're going to bring down that chronic inflammatory response in your body and improve your gut health. A lot of people have inflamed guts. This is part of the reason why they start having, problems with digestion and having other system organ issues and potentially even colon cancers. If you are chronically inflamed in your gut, you're not healthy. You'll also see it in your skin. Your skin improves when you have a good gut biome. Magnesium and zinc improve your immune system. Oh, do you see a theme here? Please go to my store and get the magnesium and zinc to improve your immune system. Take it every day. If you're not feeling well during the cold season, take a double dose.
Public health measures, which are highly effective. And that means case identification, identifying everybody who has Mpox. And we've got to have the diagnostic tests. So it's not just the clinical diagnosis, but also making the diagnosis in the laboratory. And once we've got a diagnosis, is to then do the contact tracing and ensuring that all of those who come into contact with the individual
why not get to prevention? Try to prevent this from happening. Instead of being reactive, be proactive.
Isolation. So you stop the onward transmission. So those public measures work. The problem has been that in the DRC that's affected right now, the southern Kivu region, there's a political instability. In fact, there's a warfare in that area. So the hospitals are struggling to function. We can't even get the specimens to the laboratories. There's a whole chain of problems that's enabling the virus to spread in that part of the country.
That was epidemiologist Professor Salim Abdul Karim. Thank you for your time and all those insights. All the best to you. Kai Kupfer-Schmidt is a science journalist and molecular biologist. He joins me from Washington. Welcome to DW. And can you tell us more about this latest surge in Mpox cases? How is this outbreak related to the one we saw 2 years ago?
This is the story of how Pipe Drive can accelerate your business growth.
I'm pretty sure that when he tries to answer that question, he doesn't go in as much detail as I did. But
by automating admin when everyday tasks start.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think it needs a little bit of context. So let me try and go back a little bit. Maybe
he wastes the time to talk about the context, and he doesn't get into the. And he's a molecular biologist and a science journalist, and he doesn't spend the time to tell you the modes of action. Maybe he doesn't know.
Outbreaks of Mpox in Africa for more than 50 years, right? Basically, outbreaks in Central Africa and then in Western Africa. And over time, these have become bigger, they've become more frequent. And what we saw in 2022 was that one of these viruses, specifically one of the lineages, Clade2B, made it from Nigeria into kind of the global sexual networks of men who have sex with men, and it just spread really fast in this group, affected mostly this group. And then over time, because of vaccination, because of immunity after infection, and because of behavior change, this kind of global surge died down again. But the situation in Africa didn't really change, and we're still seeing this slow increase over time in cases. And what we're seeing now is that another lineage, which is 1B in Central Africa, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, has just kind of jumped into another sexual network. So we've had reports in 2023 already that in Kamituga, a mining town, we've seen outbreaks in sex workers. And so we're seeing, again, this kind of driven by sexual transmission in this group, but then we're also just seeing the background.
I think this molecular biologist needs to get the clarity factor so he can focus on the mode of action. The immune system, the innate immune system, is being shut down by Mpox. And it is also not activating CD4 positives and CD8 positives when they need to fight the infection. Focus. Focus.
Of all of these clade 1 cases that we see in the DRC increase over time anyway. And so you can think of the outbreak in 2022 as a kind of, a little side fire that was started by a spark from what is essentially an ongoing situation in Africa that we just haven't really attended to over the last years.
And what makes this new strain so dangerous?
So we don't know, and this is a really crucial point, I think. We really don't know whether this new strain.
Focus. Clarity factor. So everyone's an idiot.
Is more dangerous than the strain that we've seen before. And the reason we don't know it is very simply that whenever you see a virus act a certain way in a population, you don't know whether that's because the virus is a certain way or whether that has to do with how the population reacts to it, right? And so we've seen in the past that this clade 1 virus in the Democratic Republic of Congo leads to.
If you have a subvariant or a different clade, that means that you have a mutation that's significant in the epi curve. Okay? So if you have clade 1B and you're starting to see that it's causing problems with prevalence, causing problems with mortality and severity, there's a mutation or a series of mutations that enhance the shutting down of the innate immune system and then enhance the fusion of the virus to the cellular membrane and enhances the inactivation of the CD4 and the CD8 cells. Focus. I'll tell you. I have a feeling that people that take clarity factor on a regular basis just have higher intelligence. Maybe he doesn't filter his water.
Severe cases, it leads to more deaths. But is that because the virus is more dangerous, or is that possibly because in that particular setting, with the healthcare system being the way it is, with comorbidities, with measles, chickenpox, HIV infections being the way they are, is it possible that it has more to do with that than the virus itself? We just don't know that. And so we really have to be patient. One of the hope
AIDS-like syndrome the aftershock of 2020. Hello, been saying this for like 100,000 times.
In the situation that now in the next weeks and months, we will get more clarity on whether we really have to be more concerned about this virus than about, previous versions of it. But
yeah,
whichever, whatever the answer is, clearly there is an ongoing situation that is worrying.
Yeah, there's a lot at this point that we don't know, and that kind of reminds of, I bet you as well, of a situation not too long ago where there was a virus making the rounds, a global pandemic. There was a lot of uncertainty. What has the COVID-19 pandemic taught us that could maybe help keep this outbreak at bay?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is what you just said. It's that there are a lot of,
Dr. Paul Cottrell, what's the number one thing that we learned? Don't trash the immune system.
And uncertainties in the beginning, and we really have to push to get certainty on them. But then we also have to act really decisively, even while there are still question marks. And I think, the fact that the WHO declared this a public health emergency of international concern yesterday, fairly quickly and decisively, I think is a good sign, because I think that is something we should have learned from the pandemic, that we need to get ahead of this. We shouldn't wait until it has spread to a lot of other countries. We should try. And the other thing, the biggest thing we should have learned from the pandemic is that equity matters. It matters, that people in Africa have these vaccines available, and not as it has historically, traditionally been, and as it was in 2022, that these vaccines are, given out in the global north and in the global south, where most of the burden of this disease is. There's barely any vaccine available. And I think this declaration really needs to be a push to change that.
That was science journalist Kai Kupferschmidt. Great speaking to you. Thank you so much.
Not impressed. Not impressed. All right. Well, what's going on in New York? Let's see.
Hello, everyone. Liberal billionaires who absolutely hate our country, and hate it they must, because they've given $250 million to Kamala Harris, who was adjudged to be the worst vice president in the history of our country. Think of it, considered the worst vice president we've ever had. Now she's running for president. Now remember this, she wasn't going to, and they stole it from Biden. He had his 14 million votes, it was all done. He didn't do well in the debate, to put it mildly, and they said, let's get somebody else, and she ended up getting it without a single vote. She didn't get one single vote, and now they're putting her up, they're trying to load it up with cash from unions and everybody else, and we have a fight. And I think we're going to do well in the fight. If we don't, we're not going to have a nation. So only if you can do it, if you can afford it, good. And if you can't, we're going to win one way or the other, because we have to win. We're not going to have a country left otherwise. So I want to thank you all. If you can do it, do it. If you can't do it, or if it's going to be even tight, if it's going to make you a little bit tight, don't do it. We will win. We'll see you at the White House. Thank you.
Trump 2020, right? Trump 2024. All right, here we go. What's going on in New York?
New York State Health Department is asking people to remain vigilant in the midst of an Mpox outbreak in Central Africa. Yesterday, the World Health Organization declared the outbreak a global emergency. An Mpox variant known as Clade 1 has surged in the Democratic Republic of Congo and is now being reported in several neighboring countries. At this time, there are no known Clade 1 cases anywhere in the U.S.
An outbreak of salmonella linked to recalled cucumbers has sickened 449 people in 31 states and the District of Columbia. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention among the federal and state agencies investigating this outbreak. They say people were infected with one of the two outbreak strains, and there have been 125 hospitalizations. The CDC has identified 2 Florida growers as likely sources connected to some, but not all, of the illnesses. Their cucumbers are no longer in season or on store shelves.
Okay. What's going on in the world may prevent you from sleeping. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the Good Night formula. All right, this has melatonin and tryptophan in it and many other different compounds to help you sleep. So please go to the store, get the Good Night formula. It'll help you to get into 3 cycles of REM sleep, get into deep sleep. Why is that important? So when you wake up, you're well rested. You'll be able to detoxify your body, especially the central nervous system, and you'll be able to consolidate memory. Chronic lack of sleep or poor sleep is going to increase memory loss, increase toxicity in your body because toxins just build up and you're not detoxifying your body. And you're not going to have rest. And over time, especially, 10 years of poor sleep will lead to other ailments, such as earlier dementia or Alzheimer's or poor memory. So it's really important to get good sleep. All right. Now, you may be listening to Alex Jones and he gives you heartburn and you can't sleep. Don't worry. Just go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the Good Night Formula. All right. Again, it's really important to have regular good sleep. It'll help to slow down the aging process, reduce the buildup of toxins, and you're going to consolidate memory and have better neurogenesis. All right. Really important. So please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and stop listening to Alex Jones. Another great product that I have in my store that helps to boost up your immune system and improve your cardiovascular health is olive leaf extract. How does it work? To help to boost up your immune system, it's bringing down inflammation, those pro-inflammatory cytokines. Really important, really important. In addition, it helps to bring down LDL levels and helps to raise your HDL levels so you have a better lipid profile. What does that mean for someone that doesn't know what I'm talking about? All right. It means that you're going to improve your cardiovascular health. So this is a dual product. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, get the olive leaf extract. They'll help to boost up your immune system and improve your cardiovascular health. Really important to take. And what I like about this product is it's dual purpose. It's dual purpose. That's the whole beauty of the many things that I sell in my store. It's dual purpose. Vitamin D3, really important. So you can absorb calcium, right? It's a gene expression cofactor. And oh, by the way, if you have an infected cell that needs to go to an apoptosis, D3 helps it. Did I tell you that Mpox shuts down the immune system to prevent it from going into apoptosis? Oh. So maybe taking vitamin D3 helps to get a cell that's infected to go into apoptosis. Yeah. Cool. Why don't you go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the vitamin D3. It helps to get cells that have been infected to go into apoptosis. It is a gene expression cofactor, which helps with cellular processes, and it helps to absorb calcium. Oh, by the way, it also helps to improve muscle, improve bone health, improve joint health. And if you've been listening to me, there is a way to actually reverse osteoarthritis by following a certain protocol with vitamin D3 and some other things. It's really, really good stuff. So why don't you go to my store and get the vitamin D3? Instead of listening to people on YouTube that, just not trying to help you. They're just matter of fact, and they're always behind the 8 ball. Omega-3, really important to help with the lipid profile. Again, this brings down LDL levels, brings up your HDL levels, and that'll help with cardiovascular health. This also helps to prevent red blood cells from sticking together. What does that mean? That means that you have less clotting problems. Don't we have clotting problems in the aftermath of 2020? Oh, yeah, we do. How do you mitigate that? You take omega-3 and some other things that I've been telling you to take, like the digestive enzymes, because it is fibrinolytic. What's fibrinolytic? Breaks down fibrin that's in a clot. Resveratrol. It's an antioxidant. It also gets rid of senesced cells. Why is that important? You get rid of senesced cells. That way you have less cells that are full of garbage in your tissue. And for the tissues that regenerate because of adult stem cells, they'll activate those adult stem cells in the basal layer and regenerate, and you'll actually have, over time, cells that have longer telomeres, which is the clock for a cell's age. So over time, when you stack like C60 and resveratrol, over time, you're going to start noticing that your tissues are healthier and they're youthful. So you're slowing down the aging effect. But you got to do it on a regular basis to see the compound effect. If you only save money sporadically in your savings account, do you really think it's going to grow that fast? Versus saving a little bit all the time, you'll grow quicker. It's up to you. You can follow my advice or don't follow my advice, but it works. If you don't follow the advice, you're going to age faster. You're going to have problems with your immune system. It's your own damn fault if you don't listen to my advice. So please go to my store and get the resveratrol. Vitamin B complex. Why is this important? Really important for cellular metabolism. The first 5 vitamins, B vitamins, are really important for your mitochondria. You need energy produced from your mitochondria to have a good immune system. Why? Because your mitochondria makes ATP. You need lots of ATP. People that start getting older, their ATP creation goes down. Why? Because the cellular metabolism goes down and their cellular processes go down and their mitochondrial health goes down. You need to boost that up. If you boost that up and improve your mitochondrial health, you'll actually age slower and you'll have more energy. Oh, amazing how that works. Go to my store and get the vitamin B complex instead of listening to stupid doctors on YouTube that are always reactive and not proactive. Get a good probiotic. All right, this is the powdered version. Earlier in the video, I showed you the VeggieCat version. This has a little scooper in it. You take a scoop a day, mix it with your food or with water. It's really important to improve your gut biome for a multitude of reasons that I already mentioned. All right, so with that said, let's go to another video to aggravate you. All right, what's going on with makers of inoculations?
Wix gives you the power of AI to build the website you need with full business functionality. And outside of Africa was reported in Sweden. Shares of the Danish biotech firm soared 16%. We're also keeping a close watch on shares of U.S. tax preparation company H&R Block, which reported better than expected fourth quarter results and issued upbeat guidance for 2025. The stock jumped 8% in pre-market trading. Asian markets ended Friday trade with gains as solid U.S. economic data eased recessionary fears. Japan's Nikkei 225 led the charge to post its best week in 4 years. The South Korean Kospi Index, which returned from a holiday, jumped 2%. Philippine shares also joined the rally, with main index rising 2.3%, a day after the Philippine Central Bank slashed its key rates for the first time in nearly 4 years.
Actually, we were expecting some profit taking, no? So after the market has already climbed up the last couple of days, the last 2 weeks, I was actually expecting some sell on the news day to day, but that didn't happen at all. No, that was how strong the market was, despite being already overbought. The people were still willing to bid up prices today.
Over in Thailand, the SET index climbed 1% as the country's parliament elected its youngest prime minister, 37-year-old Paetongtarn Shinawatra. She's the daughter of former Thai leader Thaksin Shinawatra. Some after-hours economic data from the region. Hong Kong's economy expands by 3.3% in the second quarter from a year earlier. That's faster than the 2.7% growth in the first quarter of 2024. As government says, growth should continue in the remainder of the year. It kept its full-year economic growth target between 2.5% and 3.5%. Hong Kong, a major financial hub, has been struggling to bounce back after a 3-year COVID-19 lockdown. Meanwhile, in Taiwan, its statistics authority lowers its growth forecast for the economy, citing weaker than expected exports. It now sees GDP expanding by 3.9% this year, just a tad slower than its previous projection of 3.94%. This is as the agency sees exports growing by just 8.71% this year, compared with its earlier forecast of 10.06%. That's despite an AI boom that has boosted demand for tech products. Taiwan's trade-driven economy is a key link in the global technology supply chain for companies such as Apple and NVIDIA. It is home to the world's biggest contract chip maker, TSMC. The Philippine Central Bank sees climate change negatively impacting the country's economy in the long run. In its 2023 sustainability report, the BSP estimated 7.6% of the country's GDP would be affected by damages from climate change by 2030. Now, this number is seen to rise further to 13.6% by 2040. The BSP noted the Philippines incurred over 24 billion pesos in damage due to natural extreme events last year. The BSP also said temperature shocks could drive inflation up by 0.46 percentage points in the short run. Inflationary impacts can go up to 0.79 percentage points across a longer period. Central Bank Governor Eli Remolona Jr. maintains a climate resilient economy and financial stability are mutually reinforcing outcomes. He vows to unlock finance for adaptation measures towards a whole-of-nation approach to climate resilience efforts.
They didn't talk much about the maker, the Mpox vaccine maker, Bavarian. I'm surprised. I figured that they would, right? All right, well, let's go to this one. What's going on at CNBC?
Do you hear that? That's nature's rumble. Be embraced by nature's delicate touch and intimate atmosphere. Escape.
Put Mpox in it specifically on this show, and just wanted to speak to a serious situation in Africa, and of course, it's of international concern because we've learned our lessons from COVID and the previous Mpox outbreak in 22. That outbreaks don't just stay isolated in different regions of the world. So we have to do whatever we can to contain what is happening in Africa. The latest data that we've submitted actually is really, really important because hopefully it will extend the use of our vaccine down to adolescents, as you said, and more than 70% of the cases in Africa currently are in people younger than 18. So it's going to be critical that our vaccine can be used in this younger age group.
Yeah, I just wanted to run through just some of the symptoms. We haven't really spoken about Mpox and specifically on this show. I just wanted to speak to a few of our viewers as well, just with regards to some of the symptoms for Mpox, including fever, chills, swollen lymph nodes, exhaustion, muscle aches, and even backache, headache, respiratory symptoms. The incubation period here is still 3 to 17 days, and the symptoms may still occur, but the person may actually feel fine as well. How ready are you to ship off vaccines? And let's talk about the worries then with being able to even ship those vaccines to Africa, where, of course, a lot of this has been happening in countries like the DRC, Burundi, and even Kenya.
Well, we're ready to ship. I mean, until recently, the product was not approved in Africa. So we've been working with various different agencies the whole year, actually, to get the product approved. There is now an approval in the DRC and also in Nigeria. So it opens the door now, both for governments to buy the vaccine, but also for Bavarian Nordic, as we have, to donate doses and get those doses shipped. And hopefully we can start vaccinating people very, very soon.
Well, we've drawn comparisons to COVID here, and obviously there have been lessons learned. But when it comes to transmission, this is quite a different virus we're dealing with, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it is spread through body contact, close contact. So, as I said, it's primarily in children right now and adolescents in Africa. So it's a serious situation that needs to be dealt with. And, you know, Bavarian Nordic is part of the solution, but we are not the sole solution here. The international community needs to come together, together with Bavarian Nordic, and really find a way of distributing this vaccine and containing the outbreak that we have ongoing in Africa.
I am proud to have Tim Waltz as my running.
The day you get your Clear Choice dental implants changes your struggle with missing teeth forever. It's cheap.
Next to the global concern over the spread of a deadly new strain of Mpox from parts of Africa, China has announced heightened screenings for goods and people coming from areas where the new highly contagious strain of the disease has been detected. The World Health Organization, which declared a global public health emergency on Wednesday, says more cases of the dangerous variant are likely to be found in Europe in the coming days, after Sweden reported the continent's first infection, and has urged wealthy nations to share treatments and vaccines. Simon Jones reports.
In the Democratic Republic of Congo, the country hardest hit, public health campaigns are underway to warn people of the dangers of Mpox. Originally known as monkeypox, it's transmitted through close contact, such as sex, skin-to-skin contact, or breathing close to another person. It causes flu-like symptoms and skin lesions. They often clear up within a couple of weeks, but Mpox can be fatal, particularly for people with weakened immune systems.
3 of my children and I were infected. One was treated here and the other 2 were taken to hospital. After 2 weeks, they were discharged. A week later, my wife was infected.
Now a case of the more dangerous...
A really bad version of Mpox is also, if you survive it, it's going to scar your face.
The Mpox has been recorded in Sweden. The authorities say the person became infected during a stay in an area of Africa where there is currently a major outbreak.
It is very probable that we will see more cases in Europe in the near close time. So it's important for all countries to be aware that this can happen.
There have been 450 deaths in the Democratic Republic of Congo following an outbreak of the new strain. It's also been detected in neighbouring countries, including the Central African Republic, Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, and Burundi. Dr. Meera Chand from the UK Health Security Agency said the risks to the UK population is currently considered low. However, planning is underway to prepare for any cases that we might see in the UK. This includes ensuring that clinicians are aware and able to recognise cases promptly. Outbreaks can be controlled by preventing infections with vaccines. The UK government says it has stockpiles as part of its preparedness plans. The World Health Organization says a coordinated international response is now vital. Simon Jones, BBC News.
Joining me now are our health correspondent Dominic Hughes, in Nigeria, our Africa correspondent Sumi Jola, and our correspondent Imogen Folks, who is in Switzerland, where the World Health Organization is headquarters. Let me speak to you, Sumi, first about how the countries in Africa are dealing with this and these huge concerns about the number of vaccines which are required.
Yeah, there are huge concerns. So 2 countries have been given approval for, Sorry, there are huge concerns. Sorry about that. 2 countries have been given approval for emergency use of the vaccines, Nigeria and the Democratic Republic of Congo. So Nigeria has said that they have been able to get access to 10,000 vaccines. When that will be, we're not so sure yet. My apologies, there's a really bad sound coming from my earpiece and it's a bit deafening, but I will continue. Apologies for that. Yeah, so 2 countries, the Democratic Republic of Congo and Nigeria. Nigeria said they are expecting 10,000 doses imminently. As we heard in that report, sorry, I'm so sorry, I might have to cut this.
Well, just leave it there with Celine. We'll try and sort out the technicals with her. Let me just bring you in, Imogen, folks, because there's this call, isn't there, for more wealthy nations to actually donate vaccines. Does it talk us through what's being said on that front?
Well, we heard from both the World Health Organization and the Red Cross this morning. Now, the Red Cross has its local teams on the ground in DRC, and they...
What kind of clown show was BBC?
About a really serious, complete shortage of treatments, vaccines, and ability to trace and test as well. And of course, these are the key elements to control a disease outbreak. Now, we know, I'm talking to you now because we found a case in Sweden, right? I mean, the epidemic in DRC has been going on for over a year. And that is where the vast majority of cases are concentrated, with some spread to neighbouring countries in Africa. So the WHO would like wealthy countries which have stockpiled Mpox vaccines after the last outbreak 2 years ago to donate them to the most vulnerable, and those are people in the affected countries, particularly DRC. And as quite bluntly, one WHO official said this morning, control it where it's raging and it won't come to you.
Yes, okay, well, let's bring in Dominic Hughes. We were just hearing in my introduction about how China is starting to screen goods as well as people. In terms of how this strain can be spread, can it be spread through goods?
Not that I'm aware of. My understanding is that it can be spread through close physical contact, not just sexual contact, but just shaking hands with someone or hugging someone or cuddling someone, but also, as I understand it, through bedding, blankets, sharing bedding and blankets. That can also, if you share bedding with someone who has these pustules, these lesions, that can, because they are absolutely loaded with virus, that can also be a source of...
What happens if someone is asymptomatic or is in its incubation phase and they come over the border and let's just say they end up in New York in a 5-star hotel being paid by taxpayers so they can be processed as an illegal immigrant, and they end up getting Mpox and it starts spreading across New York. It's on the bedding, it's in the hotel. The maids that are cleaning the bed sheets end up contracting it. She goes home, spreads it to her kids. The kids go to school, spreads it at the public school system. Now do you understand why globalization is out of control? Now do you understand why it's so important to have really good border security? If we have a spread of Mpox in the United States, it is the fault of Harris and Biden. The Biden administration would be 100% at fault for this because of their stance on porous border, just let them come through.
I'm not aware of inanimate objects doing that as well. The Chinese might know something I don't, but it is clearly this variant that is driving this surge of cases in particularly the Democratic Republic of Congo, but now other countries in Central Africa as well. this is clearly more infectious and more deadly as we understand it. There's still, I think, quite a lot that's not known about this variant. It's known as a clade, known as clade 1b, but it's clearly more deadly and more infectious than the variant that drove the big global outbreak in 2022, 2023, that affected more than 100 countries and saw nearly 100,000 cases worldwide.
And of course, people's memories will turn to the early days of the.
Because this is so close to the election in the United States, I am starting to think that this was released. That was modified clade 1A into clade 1B, and it was released. Now, I can't prove it, but I'm starting to have that feeling. It's a hypothesis.
COVID virus and the restrictions that were brought in for people in terms of travel and that sort of thing. Do you think the lessons have been learned from COVID and that they'll be using that experience in this instance?
Yeah, I think there are definitely some lessons that have been learned. The value of contact tracing, for example, of having really good public health surveillance, of trying to sort of use both vaccination.
If my hypothesis is true and that clade 1B for Mpox was released, was modified and released, this is the reason why I went on Mike Adams' show multiple times, begging the viewers to shut down the bioweapons labs. You needed to contact your representatives, spend the time to shut down these programs. They're doing these gains of function research, and that everyone that's tied to this needs to be prosecuted, and if convicted, needs to actually be executed for crimes against humanity, because they're doing things that causes so much disruption, so much destruction, that they just need to be held accountable. We should not be doing this. But the problem is that the average citizen decided not to do anything about it. And one person can't do it all. It has to be a galvanized group of people with repeated civil disobedience around the country to stop these weapon programs, these bioweapon programs. But people didn't listen. People didn't listen in 2020. People didn't listen in 2021. People didn't listen in 2022. People didn't listen in 2023. And people didn't listen in 2024. And now we have this problem. And everything that I've said, everything that I warned about is coming to fruition. Because you have a group of people in the United States, a large part of the population is too lazy or too stupid or both.
And public health information to help those groups who are most vulnerable to this to know what measures they can take to keep themselves safe. I think those are all very valuable lessons. But we've heard from the World Health Organization this week already that they don't believe, for example, closing borders really works. And we know also that, for example, things like lockdowns and closing schools, they have tremendously damaging effects outside of the populations you're trying to protect. So there are lots and lots of
he's bringing up a good point that some of these social shutdowns, it's just you just got to let it burn out. The lesson learned from what we went through in 2020 was let it burn through. Just take the hit. Do the D-Day, take the hit. Stop running away, just take the hit and move society forward. Some people are going to die and some people are not going to die. Just take the hit, move forward. That's the big lesson learned. But coupling with that is go to the root cause and make sure that these fucking weapon systems are shut down. No, but we won't do that. You don't even have mothers that were willing to fight for Infamil in 2022, I think it was, when there was a food shortage for their infants in the United States because of the Biden administration. When a mother doesn't fight for her own kid, there's a serious problem.
What could be learned from the COVID outbreak?
Yeah, well, let's go back to Imogen then. Imogen, has anything been said on that front from the WHO in terms of what restrictions countries should be looking at, perhaps? And like Dominic was saying, and not talking about closing borders yet.
It was said very clearly by both the World Health Organization and the Red Cross this morning that travel restrictions do not work. In fact, they can actually compound the situation because people will still move around, but you've completely lost your ability to trace and test because if you've told them they can't move and they still move, they don't want you to know anything about them at all. So it's actually counterproductive. So
you should have a control of your border. Period. A country that can't control its currency or its border doesn't have a country, period. Period. Full stop. Independent of if there's a pandemic or not. Secondly, we're in a situation that we may need to just let this thing burn through, and burn it out. All right? And there's going to be people that die, and there's going to be suffering. But you know the reality of the situation is that modern society has created a situation where not a lot of people actually suffer. And, you know, in prior years where there were lots of wars and lots of, you know, these types of wars created lots of death, you know, it caused a suppression of the population growth, right? Like, for example, World War I, even World War II, right? But of course, the baby boom generation filled the hole from the loss of life in the world from World War II. The point I'm making is that post-World War II and modern society and economic growth has led to globally, especially in developed nations, a very coddled, very safe environment. And so, in relative terms, you know, because these types of wars that happen, like Iraq, Afghanistan, right, even Vietnam, the death rates weren't that high compared to World War I, World War II, the Civil War, right? You know, so we got to keep in mind that because of modern society, death and destruction because of war is much lower, much lower. And that was a major part of when population densities got too big, there was strife, and then it came back down. You see this in animal models with mice or rats. You get the population density too high, they fight each other to the point where the population will go down, and then it reaches homeostasis. There's less fighting. So we have to, the point I'm making is you just have to let it burn through, and there's going to be death and destruction. There's no way to stop it. There's just no way. But again, you got to get to the root cause, not be reactive, be proactive. The root cause is the creation of these things in the laboratory with gain of function. Most likely what happened was they took clade 1 and they were enhancing it. To make it plausible, you just release it in the Congo. It's very suspicious that it's all happening right before a major election in this big battle between Republicans and Democrats. It's very convenient to be in the same, just a couple months away, where you have this happening and the assassination attempt on Trump. So you now got to look at the metadata, not just like what's going on in the Congo. You got to look at all these different data points. And it's starting to point in the direction that there was some nefarious activity with clade 1b Mpox.
expecting some recommendations from the WHO at some point this afternoon about what countries should be doing, but I can tell you with pretty nigh on 100% certainty that border restrictions and closing borders will not be among them. It will be the same things we heard over and over again with COVID. Test, trace, be transparent. The WHO is very praising of Sweden for coming straight out and saying, we have one case, it was imported, this person is now in isolation. And that this is crucial to combating a disease. And again, I come back to generosity, sharing of.
And he was on a plane, most likely. And the people on the plane are the problem. You know, it spread. And now you got a problem. Now you got a problem. Now I agree that you can't, you're just gonna let it, you're gonna have to let it burn out. Don't do the shutdowns and all that. Just that's the big lesson learned. Just let it burn through. But there's gonna be death and destruction. It's important to get to the root cause. If I'm right that this was that this was enhanced by man and released, if I'm right, then if we have shut down those laboratories that were doing this gain of function research, we would have not had this problem. Now, we wouldn't have had the 2020 problem. We wouldn't have had Omicron if we were proactive as a society and not allowed for gain of function research. I can't tell you on how prescient and prophetic the things that I've been saying for 4 years have come to fruition. And it's not just this crisis. It's not just pandemic. It's what's going on in Israel. It's what's emerging with Asia and what's going on in Ukraine. The world is out of control. And if the citizens don't step up and stop this crazy train, death and destruction and loss of our civil liberties and loss of our economic viability is going to happen. No. We're just going to like pretend it's not all going to, we're just going to pretend it's not happening. There's a article that came out on Newsweek today. All right. Mpox outbreak before election sparks do not comply movement. That's not what you need to focus on. What you need to focus on is shut down the root cause. I'm not going to comply. How's that fixing anything? It doesn't fix anything. Same issue that we had in 2020. You got to shut down the weapon labs.
And vaccines to the most vulnerable first. At the moment, they appear to be children in DRC.
GoDaddy Arrow can get my business online in minutes with AI. Let's see. I like that logo.
All right. Well, let's see what's going on now. Oh, Democracy Now! Just released Democracy Now! They might as well just call it liberalism now. Wokeism now. Let's play what they have to say about Mpox.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org.
And there's something seriously with her asymmetry of her face that I haven't noticed pre-2020 crisis. I wonder what happened. She's got that 2020 liberal face now. Before we start, please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and I have a solution so you don't turn into a liberal. Go to my store and get the multivitamin. This is really important. These are cofactors for enzymatic activity. That's important because if you don't have the cofactors, your cells don't perform as well. So you need the multivitamins for proper cellular processing and metabolism. So please go to this is easy to digest. Go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, get the multivitamin. Make sure you take this every day. Really important, because you don't want to turn into a liberal. liberal is a deadly disease.
We look now at the spread of the Mpox virus, as the first cases outside Africa have now been confirmed in Pakistan and Sweden. The World Health Organization has declared a global health emergency after an outbreak of the viral disease in the Democratic Republic of the Congo also spread to a dozen other African countries. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said the threat of cross-border spread remains high.
It's clear that a coordinated international response is essential to stop these outbreaks and save lives. A public health emergency of international concern is the highest level of alarm under international health law.
This is the second time the World Health Organization issues a public health emergency over Mpox since outbreak in 2022 of a different version of the virus, which at the time infected nearly 100,000 people in over 100 nations. Earlier this week, the Africa Centers for Disease Control declared a public health emergency as well. So far this year, Africa CDC has logged over 15,000 suspected cases of Mpox, formerly known as monkeypox, which can cause fever rashes and extremely painful lesions. It often spreads through close, intimate physical contact. Scientists say the new strain of Mpox is more lethal, with a fatality rate of around 5% in adults, double that in children. Jean Kaseya is Director General of the Africa CDC.
This is not just an African issue. Mpox is a global threat, a menace that knows no boundaries, no race, no creed. It is a virus that exploits our vulnerabilities, preying on our weakest point.
The Africa CDC said in May it was struggling to secure any of the millions of doses of Mpox vaccine it requested from drug companies. For more, we go to the capital of Nigeria, to Abuja, where we're joined by Zubaida Baba Ibrahim, Nigerian journalist and sub-editor at Nigeria Health Watch, where her new piece is headlined Mpox Vaccine, Africa's Wait Continues 2 years after Global Outbreak. Welcome to Democracy Now! It's great to have you with us, Zubaida Baba Ibrahim. Can you talk about the vaccine, the difficulty in getting it, and what Mpox means for Africa?
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me on the show. So, the situation is quite dire, even though it's still developing as more countries are confirming cases. But I just wanted to say that while Mpox is something that people hear once in a blue moon, in West and Central Africa, where it is endemic, it is something that has been reoccurring for years. So, first of all, I'll just go back to some sort of history for Nigeria, where I am now. So back in 2017, when the Mpox virus reemerged in Nigeria, in the southwest region of Nigeria. So there was a lot of call for the African Union to weigh in on it, because it had just reemerged after decades, and people saw that there were a lot of research gaps about what it is, how to handle it. And Nigeria sounded the alarm to a lot of partners, a lot of international partners that could weigh in. But at the point, the calls were unheard, right? So, and it has been an outbreak year in, year out. We have seen an outbreak with confirmed cases, confirmed deaths, and nobody took this cause serious till in 2022, where it became a global outbreak. So, and then since then, it has been, there's nothing, but in endemic regions, we still had those confirmed cases, and a lot of people also died from it. And well, it is now declared again a global health threat and a public health emergency of international concern, which is good. And I feel like it is timely, but at the same time, it is not timely, because does it have to be that other countries outside Africa confirming cases before we take this decision? When do we become proactive about it? So currently in Nigeria, there has been 39 cases, which has been confirmed yesterday evening, and the Nigerian CDC has said that it is still trying to get 10,000 doses of the vaccine. But 10,000 doses is quite small for a large population that are at the threat of the outbreak. So
let me ask you, Zabita, is the vaccine available for free, and who makes it? Why is it so difficult to get?
So yes, that is one of the questions I ask.
Why isn't democracy now? I mean, liberalism now. Go to the root cause and go, why is it that we're having all these pandemics now? What's causing it? Is it really encroachment of humans in the biodiversity out there? Or is it that mankind is doing things that they shouldn't be doing in a laboratory? Democracy now. I mean, it's just like the land of the stupid. It's amazing. I mean, she just looks so dumb. I mean, I don't mean to be mean. I mean, she just, the news anchor just, I have no words for it. I am so tired of democracy now. But you gotta watch. You gotta watch it. Why? Because you gotta understand their perspective. It's crazy. It's crazy.
The vaccine is manufactured by two organizations that we know. And one is in Germany, and I think one is in the US. I'm not really sure, but there are two manufacturers of it. So, and it's something that Africa could have weighed in, right, and get the vaccines before the outbreak, or before it became this big, or before it became this big in 2022. So currently, the WHO has said it like months ago that there would be vaccines, but it is still not available. Yes, the vaccines are supposed to be free so that everyone can get the jabs as soon as possible. And
this is going to speed up the emergency use of what is in clinical trials 1 for Mpox from Moderna. That's where this is. If you really metadata all this, right? You really pay attention to all the data points, they're going to say that you're going to have to go down the road of ramping up inoculations through multiple suppliers, and one of those suppliers are going to pump out all this stuff, and that happens to be Moderna. Watch. That's what's going to happen. If there's a worldwide outbreak, that's exactly what's going to happen. And then the whole concept of adept will be activated, and it's the emergency military response. It's all over again because we didn't shut down the weapons
but
labs.
we still do not know what are the timelines to get these vaccines. I mean, even in DRC, where the virus is quite endemic and happens all year round, every year, they still do not have access to the vaccine. And it's a matter of, okay, do African leaders partner with some local manufacturers to get these vaccines, or do we still wait? Do we still continue to be at the back of the queue for vaccine access?
I want to go to a clip from the Democratic Republic of Congo, which alone has reported more than 15,000 Mpox cases and over 500 deaths, most of them among children under 15. Meanwhile, health officials warning of the spread of Mpox across crowded camps for displaced people. This is the mother of a 7-year-old child who contracted Mpox in one of the displacement camps near Goma.
My daughter Grace had caught the skin lesion disease. I took her to the hospital where the doctors took good care of her and she recovered. And I don't know how or by whom my child had been contaminated. I just watched helplessly as the symptoms appeared in her body.
So Zubaydah Baba Ibrahim, what are you calling for now?
Oh yeah, I am calling for, first of all, we need to decolonize global health where we're not just waiting for vaccines for somewhere else to come to Africa. We need to be proactive. This is more of our issue because this is endemic, like I said, in West and Central parts of Africa, but it's now spreading to more parts of Africa. So we need to wake up. Our African leaders need to wake up and realize that this is dire and it needs proactive measures. I also want not just the vaccine to be accessible, but for communities to know what Mpox is. So I feel like if it was the case of chickenpox or measles, a lot of parents or a lot of people in the community can identify that this is chickenpox and these are the measures I can take. So while we wait for the vaccines, these are things that we need to consider, empowering communities to know that, okay, this is the symptoms. So like the mother in DRC said, she did not know who contracted her daughter. And these are some of the issues that we have where people do not have access to knowledge on what is Mpox, what are the different variants. This is what I do when the symptoms are manifesting in my households and stuff like that. So, but a lot of organizations are working on informing people and to curb misinformation because with outbreaks, there are always misinformations. And so that is one of the things we do here.
I'm looking at your article, Zubaydah. You write in 2022, the United States built a stockpile of approximately 20 million doses of the Jynneos vaccine, a dual-purpose smallpox and Mpox vaccine. Your final comment, we just have 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, so yeah, about the stockpile, I think if countries have stockpiles of these Jynneos vaccine, they should start administering it before it reaches their doorstep. So this is like a proactive measure everyone can take, and then the countries can also build border management, increase surveillance, and like I said, prevent.
No one has talked about the potential negative synergistic effects of what we just went through in 2020 in the inoculation program and adding another major inoculation program on top of it. Because I have a very strong feeling that's going to really screw up your immune system. Democracy now. Oh, it's stupidity now.
Thanks for the clip.
But Mpox then is.
Oh, what does Reuters have to say?
At an alarming rate, Mpox is Africa's top public health agency has declared an Mpox emergency as a new variant moves across Democratic Republic of Congo's borders. The African Centre for Disease Control and Prevention said the viral infection was spreading at an alarming rate. Mpox is transmitted through close contact and causes flu-like symptoms and pus-filled lesions. The new variant of an endemic strain of the virus appears to spread more easily through close contact, particularly among children. Epidemiologist Salim Abdul Karim says the problem may be more severe than thought.
The evidence we have on the number of cases, the number of deaths, they are just the tip of the iceberg. And the reason is that Mpox is largely a mild condition. We have limited surveillance. We have limited capacity to do the testing that's required. We have limited capacity to do the contact tracing and the reporting.
The CDC says that over 15,000 cases and 461 Mpox-related deaths were reported in Africa this year so far. That's a 160% increase from the same period last year. Mpox has been endemic in parts of Africa for decades after it was first detected in humans in 1970, a milder version over 100 countries in 2022, largely through sexual contact. It prompted the World Health Organization to declare its highest level public health emergency. The emergency ended 10 months later as the health crisis had come under control.
All right, so let's keep on going. What does the BBC? Oh, that's Sky News. We'll end with Sky News.
Zero accounting software helped put me on the right path. It's easy to find your numbers all in one place and get a clearer financial picture. So find the power in your numbers and open the right doors with Xero.
Okay, before we do
The
that,
rapid spread of a
before we do that, please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. And you know, a lot of people are stressed out, right? And you're going to be sweating because your blood pressure is going up and you need a good deodorant. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. I've partnered up with Rainbow Herbals and we've created these very high quality deodorants. We have it in citrus and we also have it in peppermint lavender tea tree. These deodorants are made from essential oils from the Himalayas. It has no aluminum in it, no baking soda, all natural, very high quality essential oils from the Himalayas. Get a couple bars for your household. It's for males and females, and it's a dual purpose product. Not only is it a very high quality deodorant made from natural ingredients, but it also helps to detoxify your body. Really important to help with your immune system and to slow down the aging process. So please go to my store and get the deodorants, get a couple bars for your household, very high quality. I also have another dual purpose product. It's called the Even Better Bar. It's a skincare bar. You put it on your skin, it'll help to smooth your skin. You'll also have a little bit of a glow. It'll soften the skin. Apply it every day or every other day. You'll, on any part of the body, right? For your skin. In addition, if you have a cut, a minor burn or an abrasion, rub it on there. It'll help to heal it quicker. You can put it on acne. You can also help to reduce the effects of eczema or psoriasis. So put it on there. In addition, it will also help to stop the itching from a bug bite, like a mosquito bite, right? So you apply it on the bug bite, the itching goes away. It goes away in about 30 seconds or less. If you have a muscle ache, let's say you pulled a muscle or a muscle ache because of working out or whatever, or just you get so aggravated that you're throwing up your hands constantly and you pull a muscle because the news is aggravating you. Rub this on the muscle, and anywhere from 60 seconds to 90 seconds or so, right? Your muscle pain is going to be alleviated, if not eliminated, all right? This is very high quality, all right? So please go to the store and get the Even Better Bar. It's a dual purpose product. It's something that you should have in your medicine cabinet, ready to use when you need it, all right? So get the Even Better Bar from my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com.
Full version of Mpox in Africa and now to Europe is causing increasing alarm. The World Health Organization has declared it a public health emergency of international concern, calling for urgent action to bring it under control. Mpox, previously known as monkeypox, causes fever, rash, lesions, severe headaches and fatigue. Some people have difficulty breathing or swallowing, and there is a risk of life-threatening sepsis or blood poisoning. So far this year, there have been more than 17,500 cases in at least 13 African countries. That's up from 15,000 for the whole of 2023. But there's a situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo that triggered the WHO's warning. There have been more than 15,000 cases this year and more than 500 deaths. Just over 2/3 of the cases in the DRC are children under 15. The fatality rate is almost 9% in babies under the age of 1 and approximately 4% in older children. The outbreak in the DRC is being driven by a new version of the virus.
In 2022, we saw Mpox in the UK, and that occurred largely as a result of sexual transmission and also direct contact transmission. And there were more than 3,000 cases in the UK in 2022. This clade 1 virus, though, is more concerning because it has been expanding very rapidly. It appears to be more transmissible, and it's associated with a higher mortality rate.
There is a vaccine against Mpox, but it's not clear how effective it would be to the new variant, and only 200,000 doses are available. The African Centers for Disease Control says 10 million are needed. By declaring a public health emergency of international concern, the WHO hopes to accelerate access to testing, vaccines and drugs. Without rapid action, it fears the virus could go global.
All right, so that's the
Nothing.
end of the broadcast. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the C60. I have it in extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, and MCT coconut oil. This is very important. C60 is a buckyball that is dissolved in a lipid. That's different types of oils. And again, the oils that I have are in extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, or MCT coconut oil. But C60, the buckyball, will soak up free radicals in your cell, bring down the stress that the free radicals cause, and improve the cellular health. They'll also boost up the mitochondrial health of the cell and improve your ATP creation. This is really important. You need lots of ATP as an energy source for the cells to work, for your neurons to fire, for your immune system to work. It's really important. Take this every day. Take a teaspoon of it a day. By doing that, you're going to see a compound effect, and your cells are going to be working better, and your health, your energy levels will improve. You're going to start noticing that your skin's improving. You're going to start noticing that your eyesight's improving. You're going to start seeing perhaps hair growth. The hair that you do have, it may be growing quicker because you have more energy and it's helping with your endocrine system. There's lots of things that you'll start to see. That when your body, you get rid of the free radicals, your body is moving closer to optimal health. And when you're in optimal health, you're going to start seeing that, wow, you have more muscle tone because you have more energy and you're moving around more. Your immune system's better, so you don't get sick as often, and you just feel better, right? But what is great about C60 is that you can stack it with the other things that I've been talking about, like the clarity factor, like resveratrol, like the turmerics and the ashwagandhas. When you do that, what will happen is that by stacking, you're getting all these different vector points to improve your health, and it radically improves. It radically brings it up to an optimal level, to the best that you can. And you see the compound effects when you take this every day for years. And when you do that, you're gonna go, wow, DrPaulCottrell was right. Yeah, well, just start listening to me and do what I'm doing, and you'll go pretty far. All right. So you compare it to someone that's not doing it, and you're going to start noticing that group that's not following the protocol and the stacking and taking the C60s and all the other stuff that I'm telling you, they're going to age faster, and the ones that are following the protocol are going to age slower. It's very simple. You can test it yourself. Do the test, follow the protocol, follow the stacking, do what I'm doing, do it for a year, and compare it to a group of people that you know that aren't doing it. And I guarantee you that you're going to start seeing less illness, more vitality. You're going to start noticing in the mirror that you're aging slower. And when you compare yourself with other people, you're going to notice that they're aging faster. It's up to you. You know, if you want, you know, it's all up to you. Do you want to take the advice and benefit from it or not? It's that simple. So please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the C60. Take a teaspoon of this a day. Take it every day. All right? Take it on an empty stomach for better absorption. If you work out, take it before your workout, and you're actually neutralizing those free radicals that you're generating during your workout. What does that mean? That means that you're going to recover quicker. If you notice people that actually do marathons, do triathlons and stuff like that, and they don't take high doses of antioxidants, they actually age faster. Do you wonder why? Even though they're super fit? The reason is because they're creating more free radicals. It's really simple. So please go to my store, soak up those free radicals, and take a teaspoon of this a day, all right? I do this every day, every day. I'm living proof of what I'm telling you to take. I'm living proof that your health gets better. You slow down the aging process. Alex Jones is younger than I am. Alex Jones is younger than me. Compare Alex Jones to me. Who do you think is more fit? Proof's in the pudding. Go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Make sure you subscribe to all my channels. I have Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. I have 4 channels on YouTube. Subscribe to all of them. Make sure you follow me on X and GETTR and on Facebook. That way you get notifications, because they play games on YouTube, especially when you hear stuff like I'm saying. And go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and follow my advice. Get the protocols, do the stacking, and get healthy. Please share the links. Ask your social media to follow me, because guess what? There's going to be economic turmoil. There's going to be global unrest because of war, and there's going to be health crises that are coming. You're going to need someone like me to help you navigate through it. Thank you for listening, and have a nice day.